Good morning, everybody. What? I'm not playing Metal Gear? I'm not playing a Kojima game? I forgot what this was like. Cali Gamer Girl, what's going on? Long time no see. How you been? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. We got a game request today. Frederick Vibvor requested this game, so I'll finally get into it. And I've only played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, but I loved it. And I've been itching to get back into the World of Darkness. So, let's do it. Busy but good? Okay. Well, glad to hear the good part. Hope the, I don't know, the busy part is also fulfilling, rewarding in some way. It's going to be a struggle. This is a game all about reading. It's early. We'll see how I do. Please wait. I can read that. Prologue. Premonition. Rage, willpower, health. It's June 20th in the morning. This is a game about rage and how it helps us do things that need to be done, as well as things that we later regret, sometimes both. How do you feel about that? Damn commercials. Oh, you're in ad land. Okay, well, you're just missing the tutorial. Hopefully nothing too bad. It'll be over. I mean, I guess you can't hear this. Great, I'm always angry? No, I'm okay with anger when it's useful. Well, I prefer to think before I act. I'm okay with anger when it's useful. 7 in a row. Jeez Louise. Your rage is balanced. So you're the critical and analytical type. That's okay. There's no right path here, just your decisions and their consequences. Let's start already. We have a story to tell. I get it. My decisions need to be fair and just. Let's just follow the path and see where it takes us. Let's just see. I don't even know. Let's see where we're going. The forest. The woods are full of stars. They flicker, come closer, run away. They want me to chase them, to play hide and seek. I observe. I watch as they dance around the tree trunks, float up on the gusts of wind that shiver through the branches, disappear among the leaves. There are words in their dance, but I don't understand them, not yet. Then they bunch up and fly toward me like an arrow. Rushing down, they're soon upon me, but just before the spear of light pierces my breast, they disappear, and the dark of the night returns. Balanced. In the darkness, I feel the tangled roots of stories keeping the forest alive, and I hear the spirits asking me to judge the enemy. I open my eyes, and then I wake up. Hopefully you're back from ad land. Sorry you got stuck there. I know it's a lot. Like, I have 3-minute ad breaks, but it allows me to... It's the only way I can not have pre-roll, so when someone comes in the stream, they immediately have to watch commercials at any time. And I take, like, hourly breaks anyway, so it kind of usually works out. But, right, we got some right on the beginning of the stream, so sorry about that. Cold and alone. Confused, I open my eyes. The forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay to such an extent that it's hard to breathe. The smell fascinates me. As someone who, myself personally, I was born without a sense of smell, let's lean into having one. The idea fascinates me. What is it like? What is it like to have a sense of smell? The smell, both fascinating and repulsive, is everywhere. A memory stirs deep in my mind, something elusive from my earliest childhood. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark-leaved ivy, are covered in ripples of lichen where the vines haven't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base are overrun with nettles. The fungi radiate with a ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms cling to the fallen trees. Back. Oh my god, those commercials were too long. Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess you were still in ad land. I have to do 3-minute ad breaks. Like, you have to do 3 minutes every hour to not get pre-roll ads. And I hate someone that, like, just wants to pop into the stream having to immediately watch, like, it's a shorter commercial. but they still got to watch one regardless. So this removes that. And usually I take a break every hour anyway, so it's kind of like they're rolling while I'm not even doing anything. But the ones that start off the stream, they're a doozy. So sorry about that. Blame, I don't know. Blame Twitch, Amazon. That's the way they do things. It's a bummer. I try to breathe. I'm cold. Something is rotten. Something's rotten. I'm cold? Something's rotten. I can't shake the feeling that something died nearby. I look down and see my hands covered in a dark substance. I'm naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I can feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. It was 7 commercials in a row. Yeah, that's a lot. All right, 3 minutes worth. It's probably a lot. Any good ones? What's happening? This can't be real. I'm alert. I'm alert. I'm covered in blood, and I'm totally aware of everything. Also, I didn't look at this. Maya. Yeah, let's look at our character sheet. My name is Maya. I'm not very brave. Not really all that inspiring. Not really all that analytical. But I got a little bit of spirituality to me. No cunning. So this lines up with me, with the streamer. Yes. New condition, healthy. Okay. Yes, one good commercial, Star Wars. Can't go wrong with commercials. That is Star Wars. Was it the, what's the new one coming out? Acolyte? Nature is never quiet. The leaves rustle in the wind. Small creatures scuttle in the undergrowth. There is a whisper. I don't understand what it means, but the word resonates in my head. Garou. Garou? Actually, I don't know how to pronounce this. I know I've seen it in print many times. I don't know that I've read it aloud. What do we think? Garou? Garous.
Garou.
Garou. Is it... What language is it derived from? French? I guess? Yes, that one. Oh, okay. And actually, that's the more... I don't know. That's the more likely pronunciation anyway. Than Garou. Garou. But Garou would rhyme better with stuff. Alright, maybe not. Moving on. Who said that? There is a severed head right in front of me. Some choices are hard to make, and they strain your willpower. I wince and touch it. I'm gonna be sick. What kind of character are we gonna be? We see a severed head. We wince and touch it. Gotta give it a good poke. Whoa, now, okay, we didn't need to, like, pick it up and hold it in front of us like we're in Shakespeare or something and monologuing. I just wanted to give it a little poke, maybe even with the pinky finger, but we're just full blown. All right. Overcoming my disgust, I gently touch its wet hair and watch as the head topples over. Okay, so no, it's just the illustration. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open as though the head were still struggling for air. I balk because I recognize who it is. And then eyes open in the darkness. The enemy. Who is it? I can see their silhouettes. Shades of jet black against the darkness. They smell of fur and moss and bloodied earth. Massive creatures, some with horns, some with antlers. Their eyes burn like small, fiery windows into hell. I look at them and something wakes inside me. Sadness or panic? Sadness? I don't think I'm feeling very sad given this situation. I think we're about... Between the two, I choose panic. I get up and start to run. I catch my foot on a gnarled root and fall over. The brambles reach out for me, wrapping their thorny limbs around my legs. I struggle and fall face first into the ground. The moss covers my face and pushes itself into my open mouth, choking me. In a moment of clarity, I almost understand what the forest wants from me. And then I wake up. When you have a set, can you send me a whisper? You have it set to private from people you don't know. I wanted to to send you a link to something I think you would like and check out. You can drop it in the chat unless you want to, like, I can't imagine it's a private link. Feel free. You can drop links in chat. But I guess I didn't realize I had that setting. I've been told that before, but then I thought I fixed that. I'll have to take a look. You can send links in my chat. Yeah, that's fine. Chapter 1, Arrival. Dreams. Maya? Maya! Maya, wake up! I jerked upright, irritated. My neck was stiff, and the movement sent a sudden, sharp wave of discomfort through my body. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus. The sun streaming through the windows was making it hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. I pushed her away. What happened? Yeah, let's not be that aggressive. What happened? What was that? I saw a severed head. I'm confused. I have questions. What happened? Overcoming the urge to push her? Well, we still got the urge regardless. To push her away was hard. Overcoming your rage strains your willpower? Was it really that? Jeez Louise. Okay. So that's the kind of character we're going to be. She looked at me concerned. You had a bad dream. The memory of the wet earth clogging my mouth was still there. I fought the urge to retch. I looked outside. I was glad I wasn't alone. Let's take a moment. I must have bitten my lip, I thought, as I ran my tongue over my teeth. The forest outside the window was watching me. The girl next to me shook her head. Thank God, we're almost there. Her name was Anya. We'd met a couple of weeks earlier on the orientation day. She was from Norway, a tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her long hair in braids. Somehow I'd managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land of my ancestors. We were there to study medicine. She seemed excited. Let's get a little bit of sympathy rolling. Anya reached into her backpack and took out 2 apples. I'm really happy we decided to come here, she said. Yeah, I said, offering her some of my kabanasi. Maybe. Dried meaty sausages that were so much better than the original Polish ones back in the US. I was glad Anya had decided to come with me. I had problems keeping friends around and really needed one. Maybe because your first instinct is to just shove them when you wake up from a nap. I did some searching, she said from over her phone, and this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. This trip was my idea. So don't you tell me what it's all about. Our summer language course was starting in a few weeks, and I'd managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps and old churches and visiting... Yes, National Park with me instead. Bialowice? Isn't it like a V sound with the W's? I don't know anything about Polish. Bialowice. Bialowice? No, wait, we can... Okay. Bialowice? Bialowice. I don't know. Bialowice. National Park with me instead. So far it's beautiful, she said, her eyes smiling. But why are we here again? Good question. Why were we there? There being... That's going to come up a lot. Okay, hold on. Let's try and get it right. Białowieża? Białowieża. Maybe? Let's get a...
Białowieża Forest.
Białowieża. Białowieża. Okay. Let's try that again then. Since you're a fan of horror, movies, games, check out these guys. I'm a huge fan and supporter of theirs. Okay. I will do that. Thank you. I just pulled it up in another tab here. Nice. Looks fun. Oh boy, Jason Goes to Hell. I might have to hear what they're doing with it. I don't know what they're doing on this channel, but my God, that's a shitty movie. So there's only one thing you can do with that one. All right, thanks for the link. So, have I already forgotten how to say it? Białowieża? There being Białowieża, a small village in northeast Poland near the border with Belarus. Okay, let's get back on track here. It was famous for its national park, the very last European bison, and, according to a quick web search, occasional tensions between far-right troublemakers and the local Belarusian community. The most honest answer would have been, because I've been dreaming about the forest in Białowieża since I can remember, but people didn't understand when I said things like that. I looked her in the eyes. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. I told her as much as I could. I told her everything. I can't do it. I can't do it. I also just realized I don't think I have my cursor going. Did I? Oh, yeah. I need to fix that here. Yeah. Good to go now? There we go. Okay. Shitty movie, but the audiobook gives you more backstory, so it's way better. Shitty audiobooks. Okay. I might have to look at that at some point. Yeah, that's, I don't know. Is that my least favorite Friday the 13th movie? I think it's got to be. I really didn't like it. I outright hated it. Okay. I told her as much as I could. The most honest answer would have been, because I've been... Wait, I read that. Yep. I looked her in the eyes. I wanted to see the forest. I heard it was a must. That wasn't technically a lie. When I was little, my grandfather told me stories about an ancient forest full of wonders and the wolves that lived in it. It was all I got from that part of the family before my mom took me, ran away, and cut off all contact with my dad. But I remembered the stories well, and I remembered the name of the forest. Puzja? Białowieża. I already forgot. Białowieża. Wait a second. Białowieża? Puzja Białowieża. Can I remember pronouncing? I just looked it up. This will always be our home, my grandfather used to say. It was my least favorite movie, but audiobooks making it way better, and they have tons of other horror movies, audiobooks, and other horror movies, games reviews. Okay, cool. Sounds like my kind of place. Thank you. Yeah, I'm curious. I didn't know about the audiobooks. I waited for her to respond. I wonder how you can make that story any better than it is. I'm curious. Anya fell silent for a moment. I think it's great that you come from such a magical place, she smiled. The last ancient forest in Europe. Thousands of years old. I wasn't sure if I was fond of that magic, but it was hard to ignore. And that was precisely why I needed to do something, anything, about my future, that damn forest, and my weird-ass family. I had a clear goal in mind. I wasn't there by mistake. I'd planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. I had to face the forest. I had to learn the truth about my roots. I had to figure out my destiny. Let's face the forest. My dreams, my grandfather's stories, the fact my family was from there. There were just too many coincidences. The forest wanted something from me, and it was time to find out what. I never was one to sit idly by as things happened to me. The audiobooks are from the out of... Oh, whoops, I got this obscured. Okay, there we go. From the out-of-print books, they spend $100 or more to buy them do their own audiobooks to the books. That's awesome. Okay, it's a way to get around that. Hey, Frederick, good morning. Welcome in. We're playing your game. I like it so far. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I'm not like the biggest Friday the 13th fan. I have fun with those movies. Jason Lives is a lot of fun. I don't know. The original two they got that nice sort of like more raw, brutal quality to them. But everything else in the middle is just sort of like, you know, they're all just like kind of like imbalanced tonally. Like they're like goofy and then they're not, and a little too goofy for my taste, but not goofy enough to like be really fun. It's not my series of choice. But I always am down to explore something new. So in the Freddy versus Jason question, definitively Freddy for me. How about you? They got Friday the 13th, Child's Play, Halloween, and tons more. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Looks good. The sequel to this recently got announced. I just saw that when I pulled up the game. Yeah, I went ahead and wishlisted that just to keep an eye on it. You going Friday? I understand it. Your willpower dropped to 0. When you lose all your health or willpower, you become impaired. This will make physical tasks if you have 0 health. I'm about to say heart, but health. Or social and mental tasks if you have 0 willpower. Harder and sometimes impossible. Okay, I think I need to hear this one more time. Otherwise, I'm just going to be all over the place. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just doesn't quite take the pronunciation.
Białowieża Forest.
Białowieża. Białowieża. One more time.
Białowieża Forest.
The L is also like a...
Białowieża Forest.
Białowieża. 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 All right. Białowieża looked like an overexposed photo of a village with the contrast turned all the way up. The sun wasn't just shining, it was shouting at the earth, and everything, the trees, the grass, the wooden houses, the fences, seemed weathered. Everything except the shadows. They were sharp, as though they were freshly printed with the darkest of inks. And they moved. I'm glad this game was successful enough for them to make more. This is not a crowded genre. Yeah. Yeah, it looked like when I made my stream here, or like set it up, something like 300... Between 300 and 400 followers, I think it was. Not many. But I'm glad it's doing all right. You can tell the 80s slasher librarian that Cali Gamer Girl 82 sent you. Okay, I'll do that. For a second, I could have sworn they'd moved. But then I realized it was just a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. And I realized it was deja vu. A glitch in the Matrix. I watched with suspicion. I tried to pet it. Let's pet every animal we can, when we can. Here, kitty kitty, I said, squatting and reaching toward the cat. In a flash, it swatted my hand away with its paw, drawing a few drops of blood. I yelped. Yeah, like I would never pet a stray cat in real life because of this situation. But that's why we have video games, right? Doing all the things I don't do in real life. Hey, Maya, Anya said, looking at me surprised. Didn't you say your friend would be waiting for us? But he wasn't there, and the cat was still staring at me. Let's go, Anya put on her backpack. I'm tired and I really, really need to find a toilet. I didn't know what to do. I was too tired and distracted to think clearly. My friend was nowhere in sight. I stormed off, but the meeting was just too important. I'm going to try and, avoid all that aggression, but it just keeps bubbling back up to the surface. It is a game about rage. They did try and tell me. Let's just wait a little longer, I said. I don't have his number, and we really need to meet up with him. His name was Bartek. I'd met him online while researching Białowieża. The man knew everything there was to know about local history. I asked him to look around for some local stories about the forest. I hope he's found something. I really need to pee. Anya said it like I was a 5-year-old, and not a very bright one. I wasn't going anywhere. I made my best puppy dog eyes. Let's just wait a few more minutes, please. Pretty please. I made my best puppy dog eyes. It's important. Anya just looked at me. Right, I'm using all my willpower on just nonsense, right? Or wait. I need to be more careful. It's not about what I want to do. It's about what makes sense. Yeah. All right. Anya just looked at me and walked away. I grabbed my backpack and timidly followed her, too tired to argue. Białowieża had a few hotels and hostels, but the preferred form of accommodation was bed and breakfasts. That's where we stayed. I found one that was nice, clean, and that had good reviews. We had a room on the second floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. We dropped off our stuff and freshened up a bit. Maybe we should have waited for your friend? Anya asked, concerned. I shrugged. I'll find him, sooner or later. Before you go, check out your character sheet. Look for it in the upper right corner of the screen. You can find a load of useful info about Maya, her background, personality goals, and so on there. You can also check who your friends and who your enemies are. I don't know that I saw that. Oh, I didn't scroll down. Sympathetic with Anya. Family is complicated. We need to understand what connects us to the forest and pursue to regain that willpower that I just totally burned through. I can't remember what I started with, but nothing now. Białowieża was a quaint tourist town, but I had other things in mind. The forest, my willpower, the lay of the land. I had a clear goal in mind. The forest was calling me, and I was ready to answer the call. We going to town, or we going to the forest? I'm trying to get into town first. Serendipity. As we walked through town, Anya nudged me and pointed at a tall, broad-shouldered, freckled guy standing at the bus stop with a lost expression on his face. I remembered his face from the pictures on social media. It was the friend who'd stood me up earlier. I was still angry at him. I greeted him. You stood me up. It's time to unleash that anger. Oh. Bartek? I snapped, irritated. You stood me up. Not cool. Maya, what are you doing here? He blurted with surprise when he saw me. I was sure you were coming on the later bus. Oh, this is the thing about anger. Usually in retrospect, doesn't feel so good to let it out at people. We started walking and talking. His accent was broad and East European, and we're not going to attempt to replicate that. We're just going to read it like the American we are. I flooded him with questions. Anya liked him. I caught him looking at me. Let's flood him. Luckily, he loved talking about his home, so when I flooded him with questions, he kindly obliged. He talked about how the village had become a tourist destination, how the logging business moved to a nearby town, how the trains had stopped coming and the local station had been turned into a hotel for wealthy foreign hunters. The dozens and dozens of bison statues scattered around the village watched us indifferently. We walked along the only street in the village, nearing the center, if you could call it that. Every house had a garden, and the air was dense with the fragrance of flowers. I took a deep breath. So did you find anything linking me to the forest? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry. He was avoiding my eyes. A trickle of sweat ran down his temple. He was lying straight to my face. What the fuck, man? I threw my arms in the air. You wrote to me a few days ago that you had something. But he just clammed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped. That was the final straw. And unleashed all my charm. I felt hurt. Let's just take him on a real roller coaster ride. We're angry, we're charming. Who knows what's coming next? Let's keep him on his toes. I turned to Bartek and looked him right in the eyes. I put a hand on his chest. I really had no plan after that part, so I panicked and felt a sudden urge to do something unnecessary and over the top. So I kissed him. I looked him deep in the eyes. I swallowed my pride and just, well, we're not doing that. Yeah, that roller coaster ride. You didn't realize there were some loop-de-loops on this one. There are. I leaned toward him, and before he realized what was going on, I kissed him right on the lips. Big old smooch. With all the fake passion I could muster. It was super awkward. I heard Anya snigger. Oh, wow. Maya, you don't have to. His face was beetroot red. Sorry if I made the wrong impression, but you know I like you, but I don't like you like you. Tell me what you found, I asked, not giving up. The game tracks your decisions on how Maya approaches problems. They will accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of person she is deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect Maya's personality. We are crafting a heck of a personality here. Good morning. Hell yeah. This is the place for that. We're finally back to spooky stuff. I mean, it's like a text adventure game of sorts, but yeah. We're gonna see how spooky it gets. How you doing? Well, he brushed his forehead with the back of his hand. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told them that my friend from the States was looking for her roots and wanted to know about the place her family came from. You know the drill. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop. And then I mentioned your name. He shook his head. I urged him to continue. Bartek, no dramatic pauses, please, I urged him. The tension is killing me. One of the old men here told me to go to hell. The other spat on the ground, and his wife crossed herself. For a moment, he looked younger and smaller. And then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. I tensed up. Calendar facts. The idea of painting fingernails originated in China, where the color of someone's nails indicated their social rank. Interesting. I want to know more details on that. When? What colors? What ranks? That's a good one. Humans are estimated to produce 1 to 2 liters of saliva each day. Oh, wow. My God. That's a lot. That's a lovely thought to carry around. Okay. And there are nearly 7,000 languages spoken in the world today. Yeah, let's keep all of the measurements in mind. I think I heard, like, I don't know, this is like maybe not such a scientific fact, because the whole basis of it, I remember hearing, like, is that a human releases, like, a balloon's worth of farts every day? But then that's not, like, what balloon, what size, what shape? Is it a funny balloon? Is it like, you know what I mean? That a clown could tie up into a funny shapes or something? Even if it's a typical shape, what size? I don't know. But that's in my head. It's in there. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly, the sweet golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. I was furious. That piqued my interest. Who was I? Let's get peeked. I knew there was something weird and twisted connecting me and my family to the forest. I could feel a shiver run down my spine. We walked in silence, but my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk, and that could only mean one thing. I was on the right track. My pulse quickened, and I tensed up like a hound that smelled blood. I was on the right track. Every time you learn or do something significant that brings you closer to your goal, you regain willpower. I was ready to see some sights. Time to see the sights, I nodded at Bartek. Show me everything this place has to offer. We walked through the village, bathed in the sharp rays of the summer sun. It was a lazy afternoon, disturbed only by the occasional passing car, throwing up clouds of dust that hung in the air long after the vehicle was gone. Anya was walking close to Bartek, asking him about every little detail in the village. People were relaxing or working in their yards. Dogs were barking, and every cat we passed froze to look at us. Let's not pet this one. We learned the hard way. Just let 'em be. I noticed some unfriendly stares from people, too. Not many, but enough to notice. I felt like they were looking specifically at me. Why the stares? I expected fewer stares. What did you tell people about me? The stares made me snappy, because they sure look like they know that the girl from the cursed family is here. What? No! Bartek was dismayed. It's just, people don't exactly love strangers here. Xenophobic jerks. I was curious why. Yeah, tourists could be assholes. Let's not make assumptions. Let's get curious. Why? I asked candidly. It's complicated. Bartek scratched his head, embarrassed by the topic. There's a small conflict around the forest, you know, and it's attracting some weird people. Activists, reporters, bored rich kids, he said as though his dad didn't own multiple businesses. People like that, and they're getting on the locals' nerves. I noticed Anya frowning. Anya looked skeptical. I looked the conflict up online, she said, and it didn't look so small. It looked pretty important, actually. For a moment, Bartek looked like he was lost for words. Well, you're not one of those crazies, and you're like almost local, he smiled. So what would you like to see in the village of your ancestors? He spread his arms as if to show me all the splendor the village had to offer. What do you suggest? The village. Cats, more cats, were watching my every move as we walked along the empty streets. New friends, hidden tensions. Is this a narrative-driven game? Yeah, it's just like a text, choice-heavy adventure here. So, it's story time. I think it takes a few hours, so probably today and tomorrow is going to be this game. See if I can knock it out in 2 streams. And then back to Metal Gear on the weekend. I'm doing like cleanup, game requests, and some stuff I haven't finished. So that I can hopefully clear the slate for Elden Ring. Which means Metal Gear, we're going to keep it going, but I'm going to have to balance those two. But I think I got to do Elden Ring. I'm just too excited. I want to go to the Abandoned Railway. Lost Hope, Strange Dreams. You had me at Abandoned Railway, but that certainly helps the case to get over there. Train spotting. Bartek wants to show us the most picturesque spot in the area, said Anya. Maybe that's not the right word, he said, frowning. Well, it's not like it's that beautiful, but it has, an atmosphere, a climate. Did he mean cool? Ambiance? Is it cool? Do you mean it's cool? I asked. No, I mean it has, oh God, why is English so hard? Very good question. Ambiance, Bartek smiled, visibly relieved. I meant ambiance. See, I wanted to let him get it. I didn't want to, you know what I mean? Didn't want to sound pedantic. We ended up on some abandoned tracks, although I guess I kind of did anyway, right? Just with a less academic word, I guess I would say. We soon left the village behind and ended up on some abandoned railway tracks. The perfect place to meet a serial killer. Oh wait, I grumbled. Perfect place to meet a serial killer, I grumbled, looking at the overgrown tracks disappearing among the trees. But with the slow winding river a stone's throw away and the long drooping branches of the old trees shading the unused railway, that place really was picturesque. The bees buzzed around us, the birds sang like there was no tomorrow, and the fragrance of herbs hung thick in the air. My head was spinning. I was bursting with energy. I remembered a song. Why was the track abandoned? I'm feeling energetic. Let's race to the trees, I shouted, and before they could react, I was already running. Yeah, I'm just like, again, taking them on a roller coaster ride. I'm screaming at them, I'm pushing at them, I'm smooching them, and then I'm racing them to the trees. I'm all over the place. I didn't look back. Let's not use our willpower on that. It was an easy win. Let's revel in it. I started with a jog and gradually sped up, but they never caught up with me. It was only when the shadow of the trees engulfed me that I stopped and looked back. Bartek and Anya were way behind, walking at a leisurely pace, talking and laughing. Jerks. I felt someone watching me. I heard a noise and turned around. A woman was standing among the trees. She didn't look surprised to see me. She was stunning. The woman looked like she was in her late 30s and was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. She had a perfect hourglass figure, long braids, and the most stunning cheekbones. Her eyes, slightly slanted, were a weird shade of blue, deep, almost purple. They seemed familiar, and she was looking straight at me. It was a challenge. Her eyes were hypnotizing. I took a step back. Let's get hypnotized. I stood there, transfixed. She smiled. I'm Lisa, she said, looking at Anya, and then again at me. And you must be Bartek's pen pal, I assume? The one who's searching for her ancestry? How did she know? How did she know? How do you know that? I asked, suddenly wary. I know everything, she answered, and smiled even more broadly. Oh, come on now. Don't look so scared. Bartek's grandma is my friend, and she's, well, talkative. Classic Lisa. Since we're alone, I have some advice for you. She looked at the way I'd come from. Don't get too attached to your friends there. It won't last. I didn't know what to say, so we just stood there, looking at one another. Do you mind if I join you? She asked when Bartek and Anya approached. Oh, yes, I did mind. I noticed Bartek getting tense. Sure, I didn't mind. I'm hypnotized by her beautiful, purpley eyes. But I noticed him getting tense. So what's the story with you two? I asked Bartek. She's from around here. He shook his head. But she helps with the protests. You know, Lisa turned to me. Those protests against the logging... Oh, the protests. All right, let's start again. The protests against the logging that his father so eagerly promotes. Wow, we just really botched that one. Classic Lisa. Bartek winced and snapped, I guess. Sorry, shouldn't we coexist with the forest? That means taking what we need to survive, just as everything does. 6,000 trucks of wood isn't taking what you need, kid. He threw me a glance, looking for help. I mean, can't argue with that. Logging in a national park? Right, a national park? Definitely can't argue with that. Can't argue with you. She had a point. People needed to have jobs, but the jobs... The chicker gerbs. No, logging in a national park? Where do you get the nerve? How can they log trees in a national park? I asked. They don't, Bartek said. It's just near the park's border. If it was about local action, there wouldn't be a problem, Anya chimed in. But it isn't. Giant corporations are at work here with heavy machinery. Ask your friend about his father's money and his clients, Lisa shrugged. Bartek stormed away. I shrugged and followed him. Lisa followed me. We walked the narrow path. Lisa do be having points to make. I'd make those points. I'm on the side of those points. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. The path was too narrow for all of us to walk together, so at some point I found myself walking with Lisa. She would squat from time to time and collect some herbs. So you're looking for your roots, she said after a while. Why? I almost wanted to know, but it doesn't work, right? I was hoping she would, bend down to collect the herbs right next to a tree, right next to some roots, and then, speaking of, elbow, this is what you're looking for? That would be classic Lisa. It was none of her business. I needed to know the whole story. I can't resist a mystery. My mama's hiding something from me, I answered, and I can't resist a mystery. Sit down with me. She nestled among the roots of an old tree, reached into her basket, and took out a blunt. Oh, wow. Okay. And that's not what I expected to... Yep. Let's have a smoke, and I'll tell you a story. She noticed when I hesitated. You need to hear it. Poo-poo on herbs. She will love it. Just fertilizing them. Come back a couple days. They're going to be bigger and better than ever. Yeah. Let's do it. Definitely, I mean, I said before, lean into things we can't do in real life in the game. You don't do that in Japan. You don't do that in Japan. Tangled roots. Lisa let out a cloud of smoke and started talking. From what I learned from Bartek's grandma, you're asking the wrong questions about the wrong people. Her voice was so soothing. I closed my eyes and just went with the story. This is a tainted land, girl, she continued. So much blood was spilled that... Is it pooch? Okay, I need to look up this one as well. Pucha? roughly. Let's go with that. What would happen if you did it in Japan? How strict are we talking? They have pretty strict laws with that, but it's not even like obtainable easily. There's like no, it's not like in the States where some states have, you know, either made it like fine for medical use or even like recreational use, or even you can just grow it now. Yeah. When abroad, don't fuck around unless you want to find out, you know what I mean? I actually don't know like what the actual like consequence is, to be honest. I know there's strict drug laws, but yeah, I don't know. I should probably look it up, but I never really took the time because, you know, I'm not gonna test it. Where was I? All right, pronunciation. Pucha? Puziska? I said. I threw out a couple pronunciations and watched Lisa's face to see how she responded to each one, to know how close I was. Pucha was one of the words for forest. Polish had lots of those, but she used it in a weird way. Why do you call the forest Pucha? Isn't las the right word? I call her Pucha because it's her proper name, she huffed. Las is to Pucha what dog is to wolf. Domesticated, enslaved, used. Pucha is the primeval forest, one untouched by humans, primal, strong and feared. There was admiration in her voice, and I realized that the words sounded like the rustle of leaves, like the wind. Pucha. Oh, should have led with that. Pucha. As I was telling you, Pucha almost went mad, and it's not wise to wake those spirits, especially not now. But I needed answers. What spirits? I wasn't afraid to stir up memories. I'm not afraid. But what spirits? You mean the dead? I asked. She looked at me with those uncanny eyes. Her gaze was almost unbearable. Hard, with anger smoldering somewhere deep within it, ready to jump at my throat. And then suddenly, something changed. Lisa sighed heavily. You have no idea, do you? About what? What do you mean? I asked. So you have no idea who you are, she stated. Nobody told you what it was like here during the war and after it. Her eyes lost focus, as though she was looking at something only she could see. In 1939, when the war broke out, first came the Germans, and then the Russians. You know, they actually worked together. Stalin never forgot that he was beaten by the Poles in 1920. She shot me a glance. I shrugged. I nodded politely. I didn't really care, but I nodded politely. That was an interested nod. Don't misconstrue my nod. Oh, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter, really. She took a drag. Anyway, many millions of lives later, Stalin and Hitler stopped sleeping, or we could just say slopped. Okay, take it again. Stalin and Hitler stopped sleeping together, so to speak, and the Germans came. And then the Russians came. Wow, man, we can't get Lisa right. Classic Lisa. And then the Russians again. And then there were the forest soldiers. The forest part got my attention. I listened, holding my breath. Let's hold that breath. Let's hold that big old cloud of smoke in our lungs and get nice and high. I was hanging on her every word. They started as Polish soldiers, but then the war ended and they became guerrillas to fight the Russian occupation. And then they ended up as desperate bandits, she sighed. For the people who lived here, they were all the same. Germans, Russians, forest soldiers. They killed, they maimed, they tortured and burned villages. It didn't matter what language they spoke. What did it have to do with me? How did she know? She looked sad. I'm sorry, I touched her arm. I didn't know that it was also tangled. My great-grandparents were from here, she sighed. After the war, there were some changes and my whole family was sent to Siberia to die. My grandmother was the only one who survived. She met a Buryat shaman, and here I am. But your story's tangled with all of this, She looked straight at me. The forest had seen it all, and it made people do things. And then the weed hit me. And then I felt it. And of course, that was the moment when the weed finally hit. That stuff was powerful, and for a moment I wondered if she hadn't spiked it. What had she done? Ooh, what had she done? I tried to stay focused. No, let's not stay. Let's just lean into it. Let's get nice and perception altered. It took a while for it to hit him, huh? We're actually playing as Maya. So, yeah. Just because I don't think you were in here at the beginning, right? So we're a female character. Yeah, I wanted to catch you up. I'm trying to think when you popped in. We're here with our friend Anya. I think you've seen. We're investigating our roots. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think you got it. But yeah, took a little bit. Did we get any description of like us actually inhaling? Did we take a drag? Lisa's been taking all the drags. She's been hogging that joint. But I guess we're close enough. We're just breathing in all the secondhand smoke. Maybe. I tried to stand up, but a flux of smells and sounds and visions hit me like a wave, and suddenly I was somewhere else. We are sitting around the fire, deep in the pusha. The others are sleeping. I listen to the whisper of the leaves. The forest is speaking to me, demanding action. Oh, that's some good weed. I don't remember them saying she took a hit. She's on the granddaddy perp. Forest is talking. Maybe it was Spike with something. What else we got in that joint? Sounds good. Wants me to be its revenge. I find no joy in the task. Let's find some joy when we can. Revenge? That sounds fun. Let's be the forest's revenge. That sounds awesome. What a thing to be. What an honor. Right? What a task to be given. I understand what it has to be done, and I can't wait to be the forest's revenge. I'll wake the others and tell them the plan. Tomorrow, we're going to burn a village. Oh, wait, right. That part. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, right, what I was thinking is gonna get violent. I sit by the fire and listen to the wolves howling to the moon, weeping for their slain brothers and sisters. Then the vision ends. When I came to my senses, Lisa was still looking at me. I got defensive. I ran it over in my head. It was a lot to take in. That's a lot. The four soldiers, the unknown past, the mysteries. I slumped down. It's a lot to take in. She shrugged. I've told you everything I know. If you want more, talk to my girlfriend. We'll be at the logging site tomorrow. Good idea. Hint, the forest was whispering to your grandfather. Progress goal, mystery. I will, I said. Now I finally knew who and what to ask. There you are, Bartek waved to me. I thought I'd lost you. You have. I'm lost. I'm deep in the throes of marijuana. I said my goodbyes to Lisa and we went back. The village. The bison statues were watching me with their creepy painted eyes as though they knew me. Gotta go to the cemetery. Family graves, mysteries of the past. You had me at cemetery. Let's follow up that railway. Oh man, do we want to be there? We're really high. This is maybe... We might be saddling up for a not so good time. Matters of the soul. So we have quite a few churches here, Bartek explained as we walked down the road. 2 Orthodox, 1 Catholic, and even 1 Baptist church, he said, as though it were something uncommon. Be high in the graveyard, yeah? Can you speak from experience? Is that a good time? I guess it depends on what exactly you're on and what kind of high it's giving you. Could be very, very good or very, very scary. So I asked about it. Was there a synagogue? It seemed like a lot of churches. What's up with all the churches? Couldn't they all just be in one... Oh, wait. Couldn't they all just use one building, I asked? Have you guys considered just having a nice Unitarian church right here in the center and then we could just get rid of everything else? Oh, I never thought of that. He paused. I guess they could. No, I don't. No. I mean, well, let's just hear them out. But you know, most of these churches have been here for some time, so we still use them. And we don't have a tradition of using the same building for different denominations. So it is what it is. I mean, I guess. No, yeah, I mean, you'd have to like swap out a lot of the decor, right? Because we got Orthodox going on, and Catholic, and Baptist. Unless we had like, no, I don't know how to make this work. Unless you just have it all assembled up at the top, at the front, right? And you just leave it all up there, and then you just sort of. How could we make this work? I'm kind of curious, actually. It would be fun to have all that going on in one building. All the iconography from all these different denominations, strains of Christianity. That'd be a good time. A lot to keep your eyes busy. If you're anything like me, when you were, as a kid, zoning out during the majority of church service that you didn't want to be in, but had to go to. Would have given me something to do. Any Lutheran churches? Asked Anya. I don't think so, Bartek shook his head as he led us to a small wooden church surrounded by a cemetery. Anyway, even though we have all these churches, there's only one cemetery. The church was Orthodox, but the graves were a mishmash of styles and faiths. Catholic, Orthodox, atheist, everyone resting together. You have never been to a service? Yeah? Sometimes I think about all the hours in my life and what I could have done with them if I hadn't had a very religious mother. Because I was at a lot of services. Because she did Sunday school, so like we went early. I had to be there for Sunday school, like before Sunday school to help set up. And then Sunday school, and then regular service. And then we, for a while when I went to a Baptist church, like those services went long. And then they would have like big like community. I mean, that part was fun. Like potlucks just outside for hours and just like everyone. Fellowship, right? Christian fellowship. Wednesdays for youth group. God, just watching the worst fucking movies you've ever heard of. The fucking butter churn gang and just focus on the family horse shit. Anyway, yeah. If ever it's like, oh, I haven't played that game. I never saw that movie. It's because I was doing that. I was doing that for years. I missed out on better entertainment experiences. Bartek looked like he didn't approve. The place reminded me of a fortress? Forest. There was something poetic about it. Let's look for the poetry in the situation. That's a nice sentiment. There's something poetic about everyone meeting in the same place when they die. Bartek smiled. There is, isn't there? He looked at the cemetery, and for a moment he seemed lost in his thoughts. All of my family lies here, he said. I mean, the ones that are dead. Hey, what do you think? What do you think happens when you die? Oh yeah, we're high as a kite. It's time to just think about the universe. Hope for something fair. You left an echo. I didn't know. I hope for something fair. I'd like to think that it's something fair. I like the idea of judgment, you know? I'm amused. Maybe you look at your life and family. Wait. Maybe you look at your life and finally know why you are. This is why I shouldn't look away. Because ads, I wanted to give you all a warning. Ads are coming in a minute and 25. It's interesting how strict the borders for Christian sects can be. Norway, which is short trip by boat from Poland, is Lutheran. Yeah? What's the percentage that's Lutheran? Do you have like a... Would that be considered like a state religion? Is that what you mean? Or wait, no, I'm sorry. Can I read this right? Poland is Lutheran. Right. No. It's early. Okay, never mind. Norway, which is a short trip by boat from Poland, is Lutheran. I had it right. I don't know. I'm all over the place. Okay. Anyway. Because I know, like, you've talked about, I don't know, like a lot of your national festivals and traditions and all that. Should we just, no state religion anymore? We used to have one a few years ago. Yeah? Did they officially just do away with that recently? When you say a few years ago? Okay, let me see. 17 seconds? I haven't done so well with this last paragraph. I like to think that it's something fair. I like the idea of judgment, you know, I'm used. Maybe you look at your life and finally know why you were doing the things you did and what came of it all. It would make sense. Bartek nodded. Yeah, it would. I like to believe it does. He looked over the cemetery fence. Well, anyway, this is it. The spiritual heart of Bialvaviecha. We can go see something else if you like. So that's where we stood. I wanted to go in, and that asshole stood in my way. Do we go in? Do we shove him? Do we smooch him once more? We will find out in just a minute. Quick break while the ads are rolling. Accurate numbers are hard to get since the church would register everyone who wasn't something else. Yeah, I get that. I see. Lutheran by default. All right, I'll be right back. See y'all in like a minute or two. Thanks everybody for hanging around. I was registered at birth. Then my parents had to opt out essentially, and when the church went from paper records to digital, I was registered again, and my parents had to contact them again. Wow. Does the church, I mean, I remember you sending me, like, the sort of breakdown on, like, all the parties that, you know, is a parliament? Is that what you call it? But basically in your government and, like, the different coalitions. Like, is the Lutheran Church, is there a party related to that? Like, do they have any political power? Okay, so I read through this, right? I wanted to go in. That right, the asshole stood in my way. Was he kidding? I just went in. What are we going to gain? Are you kidding me? I didn't come here to look at something. I came here to look for something. And we're going to look. Bartek shifted uncomfortably. I don't know if that's a good idea. But why? He was hiding something. Stortinget? But translated as parliament. I'll be back in an hour if you're still playing. I will be gone by then. Yeah, I got about like 45 minutes more to go. But I'll be back tomorrow for more of this, so maybe I'll see you then. But have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming. It's great having you. The big thing, I think, is what has been called for centuries. Vikings held things. Wait, did I miss something? Hold on. A thing is what it's been called for centuries? Vikings held things? But why? He is hiding something. That's obvious. But let's ask why. Seek first to understand. What? Why? I turned to him, surprised. I mean, I told you, people have weird reactions. Maybe it's better to leave it alone? Things, not objects, but like a parliament. Oh, okay, I got you now. Stortinget. So anyway, yeah, with that, does the Lutheran Church have any presence there? I was just curious, like, if they're registering everyone, like, are they actually... Interesting thing. Okay. So a thing also known as a Folkmoot, Assembly, Tribal Council, and by other names, was a governing assembly in early Germanic society, made up of the free people of the community, presided over by a law speaker. Got it. Proper noun thing. Cool, I didn't know that. Thanks for the info there. That's pretty neat. Oh, right, this. Okay. Back on track. Okay, so what, why? Turned to him surprised. I mean, I told you people have different, that's right, weird reactions. Maybe it's better to leave it alone. So what are we waiting for? Anya smiled at him. He mumbled something and led us through the labyrinth of graves to the far end of the cemetery. We continued. The meaning of this word in English and other languages has shifted to mean not just an assemblage of some sort, but simply an object of some sort. Right. That's why, like, for a second it threw me, like, oh, I think you're still talking about what I asked about in terms of government, but then, yeah, it threw me for a second, I'm not gonna lie. The walkways were narrow, and I could tell Bartek was having a hard time finding the way. It wasn't that he was stalling, he just genuinely wasn't sure where to go, especially when we got to the older part of the cemetery. At some point we saw a woman, tall, broad-shouldered, and long-legged, with gray dreadlocks pinned to the crown of her head. She must have been in her late 40s or early 50s. She was marching through the walkways with fury in her eyes. Bartek quickly stepped between the graves to get out of her way. Is this Lisa's girlfriend? Wait, did she say meet her by the cemetery? I'm trying to remember where she told us to meet her girlfriend. I walked on ignoring her? No. I did the same. I didn't move. We're going to have a chat. I didn't see any reason to move out of someone's way, so I didn't. Are you lost? Asked the woman in Polish, looking at me with surprising concern. I'm good. I asked her for directions. I was good. So Storting is big thing, but translates to parliament. Got it. Okay. Actually, I'm looking for an old grave, I said. My family lived here and... What's the name? Borodich? I answered with a perfect Polish. Did y'all hear that perfect Polish? Young Borodicziona. Young Borodicziona. She used an antiquated feminine form of the name. She shook her head. I'm just coming back from there. Go to the end of here, turn left, and go to the far corner of the wall. She looked at me in a funny way. She was thrown by my perfect Polish. What was her problem? I thanked her. Why was she there? Let's not get nosy. Just thank her. Thank her kindly and move on. There's no major political party that's explicitly Lutheran? Okay. Yeah, this is, I think you sent me this one before, right? Yeah, the breakdown here. I remember looking at it, but, oh, just, you have Christian democracy? The Christian Democratic Party? But that's as close as I guess you get. But anything... Okay. Again, I'm jealous. All those different parties there. That sounds pretty nice to me. She was disturbing. I asked Bartek about her. I shrugged and went on. Let's like turn and ask Bartek like right in front of her. Like, what's the deal with her? We could just address her. Oh wait, no, I didn't read this. Oh, thank you. Bartek didn't seem to know the way. I think it was only then that she noticed him. Oh, it's you, she said with barely hidden disdain. Well, I better be going. See you around, I guess. Oh, she's left. That makes more sense. With that, she left, followed by Bartek's hostile gaze. Well, let's get his totally objective opinion on her, right? We know where his bread is buttered. He's got interests. He's got ties to logging operations and industry. Who was that? I asked, watching the woman leave. Bartek winced. Oh, that's Olga. She's a local activist. She left Białowieża when she was 18 or something and returned a few years back with the notion that she was going to change this place. We continued to the far corner of the cemetery. There, seemingly forgotten and covered in moss, was a lonely grave. It was damaged. The tombstone was broken, deliberately. Someone had obviously smashed it with a hammer. The name was half erased. You know, that's pretty good detective work. How'd you know it was a hammer? Are you like out here CSI in it? Looking at where it lost its structural integrity, breakpoints, patterns? Definitely the work of a hammer. Not another blunt instrument. Hammer indeed. I mean, it's the most likely candidate, I guess. The plaque was also damaged. Someone had tried to scratch out the name, but the letters were still visible. What'd they use to scratch it out? Screwdriver? Chisel? Do we have any theories on that one? There was a circle around the grave. Rest in peace. I found an important grave. There was a circle of coarse salt around the grave. I'm sorry, Bartek sighed. I didn't want you to see that. I need to know who did this. Was it because of me? I looked around carefully. I don't think that's worth it. Worth the cost. It's obviously because of me. I need to know. Let's get that rage up. Who did this? No, gritting the teeth. Who did this? I asked, gritting my teeth. I don't know. Anya squatted and looked at the plaque. I can't read it. The letters are all wrong. She glanced at Bartek. Is it Russian? Belarusian. Is that how you pronounce it when it's the language? Belarusian? Same letters, different language, he explained. There were a lot of them here before the war. Wow, you have more Muslims than Catholics. 68.68% Lutheran. But you're telling me that's not really, the numbers kind of obscure the reality, right? A lot of people are just there by default. Catholic, 3%. Pentecostal, not even a percent. Yeah, that tends to be a more American phenomenon, right? Eastern Orthodox and Oriental Orthodox, even less. Evangelical Lutheran Free Church, other Christian, 2%. Islam, 3%. Yeah, it beat out Catholic or Catholicism by a little bit. Interesting. Okay. Unaffiliated, 18.32%. Let's get some context. Bartek put his hands in his pockets. So, you don't know anything about your dad's side of the family? He asked me cautiously. Whatever happened at least 70 years ago, and someone still remembers. That was absurd. He had a point. I don't know. Do I need to keep living my life this way? A lot of people consider themselves Christian culturally, but aren't necessarily believers. Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Or even like maybe believer, but just like the most like general, like, oh, I die and go to heaven. There's a God, and that's about it, right? Like technically a believer, but it doesn't really go too deep, and they don't really practice anything too much. Know a lot of people in that boat. Remember? Remember what? I pushed him. These people have been dead for almost 100 years. What fucking harm could they do 6 feet underground? Hey, he yelled, regaining his balance. Are you insane? I haven't done anything, for fuck's sake. Yeah. He straightened his t-shirt. Let's go. I shouldn't have brought you here in the first place. Girl, you need therapy. Anya shot me a disapproving glance and ran after Bartek. I looked at the grave. I'm being pretty nasty. Pretty nasty. I looked at the grave for the last time. My family's name looked strange, written in the unfamiliar Belarusian letters. As we were leaving, I was thinking, was I looking in the wrong place? Look inward. Look at yourself and your choices and your interactions with the people around you. That's a good place to start. I wanted to find what connected me to the forest, but so far I'd found nothing. Was I looking in the wrong place? With that thought, I left the cemetery. I've talked to a lot of people who default to yes if you ask them if they are Christian, but if you actually have a discussion about it, they don't really believe in God. Yeah, that's true too, right? But like cultural practice or general just like morality. The village. The day was hot and beautiful, yet I couldn't stop thinking about the devastated grave. How about your devastated relationships with your friends? New friends, hidden tensions. Village center. A bird of many colors. This is such a nice village, exclaimed Anya as we walked along the quiet street. Nothing moved. The heat was stifling. I was bored. The village was really quaint. I enjoyed the walk. I need to, tamp this rage down. Let's enjoy a walk. I like how peaceful it is, I admitted. I can finally slow down and just unwind. I was thirsty. But I think you can be culturally religious as well without any faith. I don't think it's any less valid, to be honest. I don't think any of it's any less valid than anything else. I say whatever works for you. Brings meaning and value to your life and helps you navigate this chaotic world we're in, right? I don't even mind, like, it depends. Sometimes, I don't know, like proselytizing, like, I get it, like, it's sort of like it's in the Gospels, right? Like, spread the good word. Like, I know you're supposed to try and convert people around. I don't really want to try and, like, especially when you come knocking at my door with a pamphlet. I'm not too keen on that, but I get it. I know why you're doing it. So, try and just exit the conversation as quickly as possible. Not hold any ill will, you know what I mean? Let's get something to drink, I proposed. I'm parched. The local store was a large mini-mart with all kinds of goods, from beer and vegetables to notebooks and pens. There was a bench near the entrance, and on it were a few local drunks. I prepared myself for a confrontation, but nothing happened. They threw me an appraising glance, murmured something, and let us be. I decided to tease them a bit. I assessed the threat. They were creepy. I straightened up, added an extra sway to my hips, and when I was sure all their eyes were on me, I flipped them the bird and went inside. That's what we meant by tease them a little bit? Okay. I don't know what I expected us to do, but not that. I understand you're trying to save people if you know you are right and that other people will suffer for eternity. Eternity, unless they convert. How can you not? That's what I mean. Like, I get it, right? It's like, you really, it is with good intention. Like, that's what you think. You're trying to save them from a fiery inferno. So I understand that. But also, when you ring my doorbell at 8 a.m. on Saturday, and want to give me a copy of the Watchtower. You're testing me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. We spent some time inside browsing Latvian, Lithuanian, and Belarusian goods. Why was there almost nothing Polish here? And who in their right mind drinks coriander soda? Coriander soda? I was putting the soda back on the shelf when we heard a commotion coming from outside. I have to know more about this. Hold on. Coriander soda? What's coming up? There's a lot of... It's just like a mess of stuff coming up. Here's an iced coriander flavored lemon Coke from 7-Eleven Hong Kong. Iced coriander flavored lemon ginger ale. That sounds pretty nice, pretty refreshing. I'd give it a try. So, to answer your question, I don't know that I can claim I'm in my right mind. I do my best, but I'd drink that soda. I'd at least give it a try. But what can I say? We're not playing a character who's... She has a way of responding to new unknown experiences, does she not? Some slurs, some curses, and a clear, mockingly polite, "I'm so sorry, darlings. I don't understand. Do you like my skirt?" I don't know how to read this. Hold on. I think I did fine, I guess. Fuck, Bartek murmured. Try it again. Fuck, Bartek murmured under his breath. I wanted in. I looked outside. I tried to stay out of it. I want in. Like, I doubt the coriander soda from the Baltics is the same as the one from Asia. Oh, yeah, you're right. I just meant, like, that when I Googled it, I just Googled coriander soda just to see what came up, and it was just, like, a lot of stuff. And that's the first thing that really caught my eye. But you're right. And also, that wasn't just coriander soda. It was, what did I say again? It was, like, Coca-Cola, lemon, coriander, or something like that. But it looked tasty. I just mean, I don't know. I like coriander. So, give it a go. Hey, Bartek, I said, pushing the items I'd picked into his hands. Pay for me, will ya? I'll give you the money back in a minute. After as rude as we've been to him, and now we're... But yeah. We're not even going to wait for him to... Before the poor guy had time to answer, right? I was outside. There's the trick. You need to do these things before people can react. Then you can always say, but you didn't stop me. Oh my God, we are just really awful. I assess the situation. Tastes like soap to you? Oh, you're one of those. That's like a genetic thing, right? Like, some people are genetically predisposed to hate the taste, and it tastes like soap, and there's no getting around it, right? It's not like... I don't think. Yeah. Like, is that... Can you... Because, like, you know, obviously with any number of things in your life, you can develop your palate. And a number of things I hated when I first had them, right? But I learned to really enjoy them. But I don't know. Can you do that with coriander? When, like, that's the situation? It was clear what was happening at the moment I stepped outside. There was the bench. On the bench were the drunkards hurling obscenities, and right next to them was the awfully polite target of those obscenities. They were definitely not local. I have no reason to find out. Yeah, right. So, haven't tried, I guess. I don't know how common, like, it seems very common in Japan. A lot of people I know, a lot of friends I have, hate it, like, and it tastes like soap. Anecdotal, I don't know. I haven't really done the true survey. I don't know what it is compared to America, but I definitely, among my friend groups and people I knew in my life, was less, like, more people liked it in America than they seem to here. The person was old. Not helpless granny old, but old with deep wrinkles and a narrow mouth. They had the unisex grace of a tired, heroin-preserved rockman. Their shoulder-length, disheveled hair completed the look. All right, so let's just imagine we just ran into Keith Richards. Can we get his autograph? Totally dug their style. They looked out of place. Let's dig their style. They had a peculiar style, fashion that you rarely see, even in the U.S. It looked great on them. They had a clean shave and eyes highlighted with eyeliner. Their nails were painted in bright blue. They wore heavy army boots, an outrageously red skirt, a tank top, and lots of leather jewelry. On their bag were the pins. Lots of pins. All kinds of LGBTQA plus flags, anarchist and pacifist symbols, and I think some German band stripes. I approached the drunkards. Mom would have told me to stay out of it. I approached the foreigner. We're enamored. Let's approach. I smiled and, ignoring the men, approached the foreigner. Hi, I'm Maya. I just got here, I said. They looked at me with a serene smile. Nice to meet you, Maya, they said with an unmistakable German accent that we're not going to attempt to replicate here. I'm Kim. We started talking. I suggested that we should leave. Let's just start talking. We're not going to let them drive us out. What brings you here? I asked. In Biavovice, I mean. I came to see the forest and to protect it. They sounded deadly serious. Me and my friends heard about what's happening here, and we decided to come and help. The men on the bench were looking at us grimly. Hey, someone said suddenly from behind our backs. Kim smiled, and the men on the bench stiffened. I turned around. It was Lisa, which means I read the hey all wrong. You should stop drinking that moonshine. It makes you pick fights you can't win, she said. I was ready for a fight. She looked ferocious. She looked ferocious, and the drunks started explaining themselves. But look at this, Eljunia, said one of them, gesturing towards us. For the last fucking time, the name's Lisa. She was furious. And this is my friend. You're to leave them alone. Got it? The drunkards mumbled and went back to drinking. Thanks, Lisa, Kim said in English. She shouldn't have. Oh, but I wanted to. I waved at her. How did she command so much respect? Well, we know. We've been in her presence. We know that it's quite, I don't want to say imposing. She has those hypnotizing eyes, right? Hi, Lisa. I waved at her. I think I saw relief in her eyes when she looked at me. Hi, Maya. I was worried you'd gotten yourself into trouble there. So, will you join us on the anti-logging protest tomorrow? She asked me after a while. Suddenly, a feeling rushed over me. I was burning. I was cold. I was burning. Oh, no, not she. I couldn't see the forest from there, but suddenly I felt very aware of its presence. I also felt something else deep in my stomach spreading through my veins. Anger, like a wave of heat coming from the heart of the dark, ancient forest. A word appeared in my mind, a strange one that was neither Polish nor English. Kalgira. I noticed Kim watching me. I felt like I was being watched, and when I looked up, I saw Kim observing me with a curious expression. What did they want? They were hiding something. I looked at them and realized they were much more than they first seemed. Under their colorful attire lurked something else, something primal. Why are you looking at me like that? I asked. I know you have strange dreams, they whispered. I suspect the forest is reaching out to you. They leaned closer to me. The forest has chosen you. The words were like a punch to the gut. I can see it in your eyes. I didn't want to hear it. Who was I? I didn't want to hear it. Bullshit, I whispered back through, clenched teeth. Bullshit. You know how stories work, they said, looking me in the eyes. You'll figure it out. Suddenly I felt confident. Hell yeah. Full willpower. I felt a sudden surge of confidence. I wasn't making that up. There was something strange connecting me to the forest, and there were people who knew what was going on. Before I could ask more, Anya and Bartek approached, and Kim shook their head, silencing me. Meet us tomorrow at the logging site. They blew me a kiss, put their arm around Lisa, and walked away. We decided to leave as well. The village. I kept looking over my shoulder, but no one was following us. We called it a day and went back. But I want to go back. I loved going to the railway. I want to go back, hang out. It's a cool place to hang out and get high, apparently. The first evening, the B&B was quaint. I left Anya and Bartek outside. They looked like they needed some time alone to say their goodbyes. When I got out of the shower, Anya was back, smiling and a little flustered. Uh-oh. What a day, she smiled. So what do you think? I made a quick mental inventory of everything that had happened that day. So you know what? I'm actually doing a nice thing by acting like such an awful person to them. By being so rude and violent and just unhinged, I'm kind of like driving them together. You know, they're sort of like congregating. I'm running ahead. I'm racing them to the trees. And they're just like hanging back like, you know, and it gives them something to talk about. Conversation starter, right? Like, get a load of the third wheel here. I'm helping a budding romance bloom. They were cutting down the forest. I remembered the scene at the shop. I mentioned the graveyard. I told her what happened when I talked with Lisa. Something weird happened when I was talking with Lisa. I think it was her joint, but I saw some things. It looked like something from the past. Like from your past? For a second, I searched for words to explain it to her, but I couldn't really. I think it was my grandpa. It's hard to say, but it sure was weird. I shrugged, ending the topic. They were cutting down the forest. I remember that. Let's go to that. I can't believe they're logging here. I shook my head. Isn't the forest on a UNESCO list or something? Yeah, I know. I want to check out this protest people were talking about. Maybe we could go there tomorrow? What happened here that people are still vandalizing my family's grave? What did my grandfather do? She put a hand on my shoulder. Whatever it was, it's not your fault. It wasn't, but it could be my responsibility. Remember the shop? The tension seemed almost unnatural. A few words more and it would be a regular fight. Maybe they just envied Kim's style. Anya tried to joke, but she seemed worried. I didn't feel like talking anymore. You know what? I'm seriously tired. Let's call it a day, shall we? Soon we were both in our beds, ready to sleep. I was tired, sure, but also excited, and excitement isn't the best for sleep. I lay there for a while, thinking about everything that had happened and that might happen next. The wind from the open window lapped over my skin as I watched the silver rectangle painted on the wall by the moonlight. The start of my search wasn't really fortunate, but I got to know so many things, and on the next day, I was to see the forest itself. I felt I was closer to getting my answers. And I should go and see the logging protest. Oh yeah, we should. Oh yeah, we should. I felt that the answers I was looking for were within my reach. I just had to go and see the logging protest, meet the right people, and make them talk. After a long while, all these thoughts became blurry. They slowly started to turn into pictures, sounds, and colors. I drifted off. A night in the woods. The railroad tracks remember times of their glory. The trees around them whisper about forgotten secrets. I feel the excitement rising deep within my stomach, then throughout my whole body. I am a weapon. I am a cub. I am a cub. I am a wolf cub, like the ones my grandfather told me about. I will grow, and my fangs will become sharper. I will taste blood. I feel a pull, and I surrender to it. I run toward a clearing. There are piles of fresh corpses of people who died too young, skinned and mutilated. Their loved ones stand around them, grieving, unable to do anything, waiting. And suddenly, they are just trees and tree trunks. I roar. I howl. I look around. I feel like going for a nice howl. Inspiring. I look at the moon and I howl. The trees are dead, and I'm the only one left to sing their story. There is a stench in the air like meat rotting in acid. but somehow worse. I see the monstrous army. Their mandibles are whirling chainsaws. Their long metal arms are wrapped with black pipes that look like glistening intestines. Their smell is vile. They wait, unmoving. That's awesome. I really like that description. The mandibles. Whirling chainsaw mandibles, long metal arms wrapped with black pipes, like glistening intestine. Wow. I charge. I turn to the forest for answers. I pay my respects to the dead. Let's charge. It's the monstrous army. Let's get at it. I try to breathe through my mouth as I run toward the machines. I hit and kick them blindly, screaming at the top of my lungs, and in my own screams I hear strange whispers. They tell me to look at the sky. There, between the stars, two shapes circle each other. An old sad wolf with gray hair and a white weasel. They keep their eyes on one another as they continue their dance. Suspicious, but not hostile. We need to fight the enemy, the awful rotting stench. I know that much. But how can we do that when we don't trust each other? They stop. They look at me and the clearing. I jump toward them. I sing to them. We gotta sing to them. It's worth the cost. I sing to them in words that I don't recognize, but that I understand. They come down to me, and their voice is the voice of the Pusha. We've been calling you, and you finally came. I wake up. Chapter 2. Logging. The day after. The next morning was full of sunshine and birdsong. I could smell the heat of the afternoon building, those long, honey-like hours in late June when the earth isn't tired of its own warmth yet, but it was crisp and pleasant now. I got up. I sat on my bed for a moment, letting my feet dangle from it. I felt angry. The weight of the previous day had coiled up somewhere in my chest, and it felt like a tiny merry-go-round, gaining speed. And there was the dream. Then I remembered the dream, the clearing, the animals in the night sky, waiting for me. I took a shower, ate something without really paying attention, and went out. Anya joined me. Oh, we got an earthquake. I think it's a little one. Game is inspired by real events, by the way? No kidding, really? What events? Summer morning. We were halfway through the forest when I realized we were walking toward the logging site. Oh yeah, we are. Protests? Activists? Answers? Let's wreck that monstrous army. Against the machines. Let's rage against the machine. We've been building up this rage for a reason. I was so focused on my anger and the turmoil in my head that I didn't really care where I was going. When I snapped out of it, the sun was shining. The village was far behind me, and I wasn't sure how I'd gotten there. Anya looked around. So what's the plan? To stop the logging. I had to figure out the forest. I needed to find someone. We have to stop this logging. I looked around. On my right was the ancient forest. On my left was the freshly torn clearing. Ahead of me, ruining the view, were huge logging machines and a group of people arguing in their shadow. They clearly needed someone to gently nudge them in the right direction. I looked at the clearing, I looked at the machines, I looked at everyone. There were people there too. The loggers were sitting idly on the tree trunks, sharing cigarettes. The police that stood between them and a colorful group of protesters were visibly uneasy and twitchy. I saw some reporters who were clearly bored because no one was doing anything interesting. The harvesters loomed over the clearing, reeking. I saw a familiar face among the protesters. Kim was standing next to a vaguely military-looking white man who was arguing with Olga from the cemetery. The protesters were clearly conflicted. I had business to do. I wanted to know what it was all about. Maybe I could solve the conflict? Yeah? Do we think that highly of ourselves? I thrived in solving conflicts. Really? I feel like we thrive in initiating conflicts and then just storming off from them. So I went closer. One of the police officers, young and nervous, said something I didn't fully understand. I ignored him. I let Anya handle it. Anya flashed her best smile and flooded him with Norwegian. He smiled back. Oh, he said, you're one of them. And then let us go. Then I noticed that someone joined us. And then I noticed that someone used the commotion to sneak with us past the police. A girl with disheveled, bleached out hair. Don't worry, she patted the officer on the arm. It was an awful pickup line anyway. He recoiled. You shouldn't touch me, ma'am. I rolled my eyes. I smiled. I smiled at her and wanted to say something, but I was interrupted. Pat, some guy called from the gathering. Could you come here? I need you to show Olga that chart. She sighed, reaching to her backpack and taking out a tablet. And they're at it again, she murmured under her breath and winked at me. Coming. We went towards the activists. As I walked towards Kim, I heard more and more of the argument. Olga, you can't. The man was speaking with a strong German accent that we didn't attempt to replicate. Pat stood next to him with her tablet. She looked a bit amused. Do not fucking tell me what I can or can't do, Cornell, Olga interrupted. I can because they are destroying our mother. I can fight with all the means at my disposal, even if that means burning those harvesters to the ground. A slender, green-eyed man was standing near her. He took a few steps back, went towards one of the harvesters, turned his back on all of us, and pissed on the machine. Olga smirked. Ah, Daniel, you know how to bring the point home. He looked at her confused. Cornell raised his eyebrows. Inspired by actual protests against logging in that forest, I was thinking that's what you meant. Burn the harvesters? Cornell asked calmly. In this drought? Olga, are you out of your mind? You know what I mean. We fight them any way we can, because this is a fucking war. She spat. He sighed. You've never seen real war, and it shows. Nobody is shooting at us, and believe me, we want it to stay that way. We need a peaceful protest. I approached Kim. Hey, can we talk? I asked, approaching Kim. Oh, Maya, darling, it's good to see you. They smiled. Maybe we'll be able to convince her. Oh, so I was to take a stand. I looked at them. I looked at them both. Olga with her fury and passion, Cornell with his cool professional demeanor, and shared without any reservations what I felt about the situation. It wasn't a war. Yet. Peaceful wasn't flashy enough. There was a fine line to tread. Tried to find the article I read a while ago, but on my phone, and it just got frustrating to try and Google it. I get that. I could probably take a look. I'll make a note to do that. Yeah, I'll take a look here. I think I have a couple. Maybe I have a lead here. Oh, did I? I mean, sure. I mean, we're going for it. That's what we chose. It's not a war, not yet. My voice rang clear in the silence, but they won't stop unless we make them. Kim shook their head and moved forward. I observed them curiously. I set an alarm so I can catch this stream. This is just a short break in my sleep. Well, thank you so much for doing so. That means a lot. I appreciate you coming here. Sorry to interrupt your sleep, though. I'm glad. I was like toying like this or Rise of the Ronin. So I'm so glad you didn't wake yourself up for a stream you couldn't watch. I'm going to finish this before I get back to Rise of the Ronin. I observed them curiously, which I'm taking my time. I don't know. I'm usually slower than how long the beat says, so maybe it's going to be more like 5 or 6 hours for me. Olga, darling, you know I love you, but Cornell really knows what he's doing. Please trust me on that one. They looked at her apologetically. Fuck off, Kim. You didn't even trust me enough to come here on your own when I asked you to. Lisa decided to say something. Lisa looked them straight in the eye. She had a peculiar accent. Kim, you want to teach me about violence? She looked them straight in the eye. About fighting oppression? Just because your boss went to what? One mission in Afghanistan? Her Polish was peculiar, kind of mellow. Cornell winced. Lisa, leave Kim alone. He didn't know what to say, and it seemed that the whole discussion would be derailed. Maybe it was for the best. I didn't let that happen. If it had been Rise of the Ronin, I would have just stopped by to maintain my streak. That's right. I'm going for 25, right? Hey guys, the forest, I said. The logging, the protest. Olga unclenched her fists. Cornell looked back at her and chuckled softly. You almost punched me. The conversation was over, at least for the time being. Cornell, together with his cronies, walked toward the reporters, while Olga went back to the group of people, standing in the shadow of an old oak tree. I looked at the forest. I looked at the Pusha. The clearing full of felled trees was like a gaping, bleeding wound in the chest of a friend. My resolve strengthened. I came here to stop the logging, and after seeing what I'd seen, my resolve only strengthened. Yes, just like Olga said, Anya nodded, excited. What they are doing is unforgivable, and we have to fight. I looked at one group. I looked at the other. Going for however many streams you do until you quit streaming. Yeah? Oh, man. Forever. Never gonna quit. The logging site. The harvesters were dripping. What? Try again. The harvesters were dripping with black oil, and the forest stood tall, serene, and full of golden light. It looked like it could protect itself, and then I looked at the felled trees, dead, limp, helpless. Escalation or answers? In video games, I find, and only in video games, that when you really want to pose a threat to the system, you have to escalate in video games, right? Hopefully you die of old age before I do then. It would suck to lose my streak. I am older than you, so we'll see. No Pasara. You know what? That might have been a good stopping place. I guess I can pop out of this game at any time, huh? Wouldn't be here, though. Oh, over here? Oh, yeah. Just counterpoint, you are healthier than me? Well, I don't know about that. I do get into some bullshit sometimes. Further counterpoint, you're Norwegian. You have a nice... Japan has a good healthcare system. I don't know what my future holds, but if I'm heading back to America, there's a good counterpoint. So, counterpoint. I'm American. So, I think that's probably... well... Okay, I don't want to stop, so I'm going to read a little bit more. No Pasaran. As we approached, Daniel pricked his ears. I could have sworn they moved. Hello, fellow humans, he grinned at us. I felt Olga's eyes on me. So what the fuck are you doing here? She asked. She stood there with her arm wrapped around the waist of another woman. It was Lisa. She winked at me and mouthed, "It's okay." I didn't care about them. I wanted to act. I needed answers. What was the argument about? I'm trying to act. I'm trying to actually pose a threat to the system. And in video games, to really pose a threat, you can't really play by the system's rules, now can you? In video games, you have to, but in real life, you always follow the rules. Of course. I couldn't care less about her opinion. I knew why I was there. I'm someone who wants to burn those fuckers. I pointed at the lurking shapes of the harvesters. Lisa nudged her. See, honey, I told you. It's obvious. I looked at them again. Olga rolled her eyes. I had more time to look at her now. She was wearing combat trousers, sandals, and there was a small, silver, double-bladed axe hanging on the string around her neck. The labris, a lesbian, a labris. Okay, wait a second. The labris, a lesbian feminist symbol. There we go. She wasn't hiding where she stood. I might need a... I want to learn more about that real quick. Labris. I've never seen this before. The Lydian word for the double-bitted axe. In Greek, it was called something I can't read. A labris. Labris? Is that? I was just thinking, because, like, if it's a lesbian feminist symbol, is labris related to, like, labia? Like, is there, like, a connection there? Is that just a coincidence? Some assert that labyrinth is derived from labris, and this implies house of the double axe. So maybe it's just like a coincidence, right? Is there anything like in like the etymology that actually is related to the feminine? So how did that get... In the 1970s, the labris was adopted by the lesbian community as a lesbian feminist symbol, representing strength and self-sufficiency. The labris lesbian flag, created in 1999, involves a labris superimposed on an inverted black triangle and set against a violent background. Oh, in feminist interpretations, the labris is a symbol of the matriarchy. Is that why? Oh, it's a symbol of a neo-pagan goddess movement. Okay, so like it does have links to matriarchies. Okay. It's a cool symbol. I guess since I went on that deep dive. Okay. Whoa, 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 what have I just done? Is that a good... Okay. Alright, I think it's good. Back to the most important question. That was the most important question. Learning more about that. Why was she so jumpy? What was her plan? What's going on here, I asked. Lisa said you could help me. Isn't it obvious? Her laugh was bitter. When the Pusha is under attack, she reaches out and picks someone. This time, she picked you to help her. She seemed to believe it. We progressed the goal. I looked at her skeptical, but he seemed to believe it. The question is, she looked at me as she paused, will you do it? Before I could answer, there was a commotion, a change of mood. Olga stiffened and looked over my head. The police were coming. And then we had to do it. Cliffhanger. Because I gotta go. It's time to go to work. I'm just gonna play this tomorrow. Because from what I'm hearing, I'm in like the danger zone for Metal Gear. Cutscene heavy. Maybe getting close to the end. So Saturday morning, I'm pretty sure, is gonna be Metal Gear. And I think I'm just gonna go for a long stream and see if I can finish it. Although those games can take longer than you expect. So, but I mean, if the past is any indicator, the way that the last few end of Metal Gear streams have gone, those are like 8, 9, 10 hour streams. So I'm in it to win it. But this tomorrow. And then, yeah, finish Metal Gear and start finishing up some more of these games I've got going to clear the way for Elden Ring. How are you feeling about Heart of the Forest? I'm loving this. This is very well written. I stopped a couple times just to reread like a couple of very good descriptions, right? I was taken with that, the monstrous army of the harvesters, but just yes, like such an organic flow, you know, like based on my descriptions, based on my decisions on how that's changing the descriptions of events or just like the next interactions. And you love the game? Yeah, it was a great recommendation. Right up my alley. I love interactive fiction. And want to do more of it. And this is reminding me that I didn't finish Night Road because I was like doing Night Road before each Bloodlines stream I was doing, and then I finished Bloodlines, and I didn't finish Night Road, so I think I want to go back and finish that here soon too, because this has rekindled the interest, right? So where am I going to send you? I guess not you, Frederick. You're dropping back into the throes of sleep. I'm going to send you over to, you know, it's like a spooky adjacent game here, Werewolf, so I'm going to send you to Zoe Apple playing Christmas Massacre. Oh, I think that's that Nun Massacre and what else? That same developer. I'm blanking on the name. Oh, what? Did they change the raid? I guess so. This is cool though. Oh, I can just like better search for channels like right in here within the raid window now. That's nice. This is new. Okay. And I can see a preview of what they're playing. Wait. This is awesome. They changed the raid thing here. Yeah, I can like actually see. Okay, cool. That makes it a lot easier for me to raid now. Nice. Also, a perfect werewolf game. Perfectly shows how important nature is to werewolves. Yeah. In the world of darkness. Yeah. All right, well, thank you all for coming. Thanks so much. Thanks again for the recommendation. Thanks for waking up in the middle of your sleep to come in here. That means a lot, really. Maybe I'll see some of y'all tomorrow. Until then, everyone be well. Take care. See y'all next time. Twitch did something good? It seems they did. That's a nice change of events. All right. Be well.